Well, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to the Bowie Police Department's Town Hall meeting for District 1. This may be the last town hall meeting, but doesn't make you the least. So we're excited to host this meeting and spend some time with our residents again this evening. But before we get started, what I'm going to do is allow the panelists to introduce themselves, and we'll start first with your councilman, Michael Esteve. Councilman. Okay, looks like he might have some connection issues. We'll come back to Councilman Esteve once he's able to reconnect. I don't even think I introduced myself. So I'm Dwayne Presser. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police. Next up is our Chief of Police, Chief John Esky. Chief.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Pardon me. Good evening. Glad you can make it out on our the final town hall of our series. We've hit every district. We've saved the absolute best for last. So welcome. It's nice to have you out here. We realize your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending some of it with us. The only thing that I'm going to say before the presentation is one of our main goals here is to increase communication with our residents and to make that communication meaningful. And when we talk about impact coming up here, the whole reason of impact is to try to get a feedback loop. Oftentimes our communication is one direction. We talk to you, and then later on, you maybe talk to us, but it doesn't always connect in that feedback loop that we like. So we want to try to discuss different ways to connect, different ways to have meaningful conversations, so that if you have an issue, you report that issue, we have some kind of mechanism to tell you what we were able to do about it, whether we resolve it, whether we weren't able to resolve it. In some cases, like the dirt bikes and things that are a little more difficult, and some other ways that we can approach it. But again, it's all about information. It's all about connection. So thank you for coming out or clicking in as it is.
Thank you, Chief. Next is Lieutenant Joe Rose.
Good evening, everyone. As the deputy mentioned, Lieutenant Joe Rose, I command the patrol division. I'm happy to be here and appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you, Lieutenant. And we'll turn it over to our Public Works Director, Mr. Jose Aldeuse.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this Bowie Police Department Town Hall. I'll be talking at the end of the presentation. Won't take too much of your time, but as Chief Nesky said, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to have a great town hall meeting.
Great. And I think we have him back. So now, Councilman Esteve.
Thanks for having me on, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right. So what we have in store for you all this evening is that we have two short PowerPoint presentations, one from the police department and then one from Public Works as it relates to getting a speed assessment done for your roadways. So after that, what we ask is that if you have any questions that you would like for the panelists to answer this evening, that in the Q&A section on the Zoom platform, if you will write your question there. Once we conclude both PowerPoint presentations, we will answer all of those questions. I know I did get one email to my city email, so I'm going to ask that resident if you would please place that question in the Q&A so that everyone can benefit from the answer to their question, because I'm sure many of you share the same concerns. So what we'll do is go ahead and get started. So the Bowie Police Department has an authorized strength of 67 sworn police officers. So you may say, wow, that seems like a lot for the city of Bowie. The city is almost 19 square miles, and we have close to 60,000 residents. However, even though we have an authorized strength for 67, we have a couple of vacancies. We have some officers that are injured or on other than a full duty status. And then if you continue to subtract the members of the command staff, those assigned to investigations, those that are dedicated to community policing and training, and some administrative positions, we really have about 41 officers that are dedicated to patrol duties on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week basis. So That's a lot of area and territory for them to cover. And they do their very best to try to patrol the neighborhoods, get in and out of the residential streets in between calls for service. Lieutenant Rose, you'll hear from him shortly. He's the patrol commander. He does an outstanding job of ensuring that they're deployed in areas based upon our crime trends that we're seeing and based upon need. And so, we'll get more into that. One of the things is that we're always looking for men and women that care about the community and want to serve. So if you know anyone that has a heart for service and wants to work for the Bowie Police Department, we are hiring. And as we get a little further into the presentation, Chief Nesky will go into more detail how you can, some of the incentives that we are offering, and not only for those that would like to join the police department, but those that may also give us a referral. Now I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Rose. He's going to talk to you a little bit about crime and some of the initiatives that we are doing throughout the city. Lieutenant Rose.
Thank you, Chief. So as you guys all know, I mean, we're not immune to crime. The city, we tend to have our fair share. The biggest crimes that we do experience in the city, though, are property crimes and quality of life issues. Property crimes being shoplifting, theft from autos, stolen cars, things of that nature. Quality of life issues such as juveniles hanging out in common areas, or folks coming to HOAs that may not belong to that particular community and decide that it's a nice place to park and maybe, conduct some illicit activities. We are aware of these things and we try to keep an eye on it as best we can. But those are the main issues. And some of the ways that we ask to try and help us combat these things is the partnership that we have with the community, mainly you all feeding us the information as best as possible and as quick as possible so we can respond in a timely manner. We also ask that you help us with these theft from autos and stolen cars, because that's low-hanging fruit as far as we're concerned. That's an easy fix for the most part. And I say that, but meaning that as far as theft from autos, two things you can remember is one, lock your doors, and two, most importantly, remove any items of value from the vehicle. That's really important. And as far as cars getting stolen, I can't recommend this strongly enough. I understand that having a key fob, remote key fob start or push to start vehicle is great and it's really convenient. However, if you leave that key fob inside the vehicle, you're just inviting trouble. If you leave it in your driveway or in your parking spot and you leave that key fob in there, and for the most part, these guys they understand that a lot of folks tend to do this. They literally will go out pulling on door handles to see which one is unlocked. And the first thing they do before rummaging through the car and start taking personal belongings is they'll press the brake and push the button to see if the car will start. And quite often it happens. It'll start and they're driving off with your vehicle. So we're just asking, to help us prevent these type of things or deter it by removing that key fob, keeping it with you. And if you have items of value, don't leave it in plain sight or inside your vehicle, and bring it inside just to help us prevent these type of things from happening. With that said, we've created an initiative because with most of our crime deterrence and our apprehensions and things of that nature, we work at our best when we're working with our community. And that's you guys being the eyes and ears and feeding us information. And then, as the chief mentioned, when we close that loop with you all and bring a complete resolution to whatever the issue may be, it may not just be crime, it may be other issues such as maybe a neighbor complaint or something that needs some mediation of some sort, and we might be in a position to help you all and bring all that to an amicable close. So what the initiative that we started, we've given it the acronym of IMPACT, which is Information Matters, Police and Community Together. And throughout our history and between the chief, the deputy, and myself, we probably got close to a century's worth of experience on this video call of policing. We can all tell you that with hands down, the best way to work for public safety is in partnership with our community. So with that said, I will pass it along to the deputy chief, and they can take it from there.
Thank you, Lieutenant Rose. And just one of the ways in which you can help is that, we are seeking volunteers to help serve as a force multiplier. One of the things that I shared earlier was the fact that we are limited in our staffing, even though we're working diligently to fill those vacancies that we have and get some officers back to a full duty status. In the meantime, you, as our residents, are our eyes and ears. As it was mentioned in IMPACT acronym, it is a partnership. And so one of the biggest things and ways in which we're seeking help is through information sharing, ways in which we can communicate information to you and have a way for you to communicate information back to us. That's extremely important. And then also we're asking to get to know your neighbors. I know that we're really busy. All of us are busy going about our daily lives. One of the things that unfortunately, haven't been in this pandemic for the last 2 years, we are spending a lot more time at home. So it is an opportunity to meet your neighbors, to look out for one another. The more that you're aware of what's going on in your neighborhoods, what belongs, what doesn't look right, what vehicles belong in the neighborhood, and things of this sort, and things that look out of place. If you see something that just doesn't look right and you need to get a hold of us, there are two ways. Obviously, if it's an emergency, a crime in progress, or something of a very serious nature, still 911 is the choice to call. But we also have our own non-emergency number. Sorry about that. We have our own non-emergency number, and that number is 240-544-5700, 240-544-5700. We have our own dispatchers that are ready to take your call, and we'll do our very best to get an officer out there as soon as possible to handle your concern. We urge you to protect your property. We're in the holiday season, where many people are getting packages delivered. Excuse me, y'all, got a little tickle on my throat. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. But we want you to protect your properties, package thefts, that things being delivered to your homes. You don't want to leave those out there for an extended amount of time. Make arrangements. Chief Nesky did an outstanding video that's posted on all the city platforms, as well as the public safety channel, on how you can protect your property and protect those packages as they're getting delivered. And again, we really reiterate again, lock your cars. We can't say that enough. As Lieutenant Rose mentioned earlier, the key fobs, if you leave that key fob inside the vehicle, it's impossible to lock your car. So not only is your car vulnerable to being stolen, there's no way that you can secure it. So at the very least, you're vulnerable to suspects taking things out of your vehicle because the vehicle is left unlocked. Okay, now I'm gonna turn it over to Chief Nesky so he can talk to you about some community events and some of the resources that we have. Chief Nesky.
Thank you. So kind of to tie in with our package thefts and some of our thefts from auto, we have, for the second year, we are offering our security camera rebates. So if you buy any video camera for the outside, it doesn't matter what brand it is, Nest, Ring, or any of the Vivint or any other pieces out there, we'll give you $50 back. The only caveat, it has to be inside the city, has to be mounted to the exterior of the house and pointed outward. We don't want to see what's going on in your living room or your basement or anything else outside. That is not only good for preventative measures, but it's also good afterwards for evidentiary matters. So we've gotten some good information with tags, vehicles, and suspect descriptions afterwards. Another piece of our outreach is our Citizens Academy. We just had our session graduate. It's a 13-week session. You come in, you sit down, we go over everything that we do, but more importantly, we go over why we do it, why we do the things we do, what's our philosophy, what's our tactical response, why do we do the things that people may have questions of. And you may be thinking of, well, I don't really, like you guys that much, so why should I go spend time in your academy? You're exactly the kind of people we want. Don't want people just that love us, though we do appreciate that. We want people that maybe have contrary opinions, and that we can have these discussions. Some of the most rewarding conversations we've had are with people who disagree with us or have a different outlook. That's how we all grow. That's how we all get better. So we truly encourage everyone to come in. You'll learn how to do a traffic stop. You learn why we do what we do. You even go through a shoot, don't shoot, or a judgmental shooting scenario, where you'll have a chance to put yourselves in our shoes and go through a scenario and see how you would handle a forced situation. We also try to work with our young folk. As you get older, the term young becomes subjective, but for my purposes here, explorers are 14 to 20 years of age. One of the very first things we did was form an Explorer Plus, because we understand the importance of reaching our youth. They're probably the hardest demographic to pin down. They're the hardest to get in front of you, and they're the most important ones that we need to be talking to, that we need to build those bonds and, again, share that information. So again, if you have a 14 or 20-year-old in your house, or you are in that demographic, please consider Police Explorers. It's not just policing. We get you service hours. We teach you how to give back to your community. We give you how to be a good citizen and a contributing factor to your community. Also, along those lines of getting that young demographic or putting someone in our shoes, is trading places. That's where we'll go out and we'll get some people that ask for us to be there, and we'll swap places. They'll become the officer responding to the call. We'll become the person who may be the subject of the call. And it's really helpful when you put yourself in someone else's shoes and you look at something from someone else's point of view. Things that we think may be just run-of-the-mill statements we make, things that positioning we may do, may be seen totally different than we intend them to. It's the same thing on the other side. Your movements into your pockets may not be a big thing to you, but it's a huge thing to us, because we don't know what's happening. We need to try to make everybody safe on the scene. And we've had a couple sessions, and it's been very, very productive. If you look in the background, you'll see a map. That's our City of Bowie crime map. It's at our website of cityofbowie.org. This is made in-house. So the information is uploaded with our IT staff and our crime analysis person, which is Bethany DeWright. And they work very diligently to get the most up-to-date information on this map. And this map is searchable, so you'll be able to search not only by location, but by crime type. And you'll be able to, it's almost like a heat map. You'll be able to see where things are concentrated, what's happening in your neighborhood. We have lots of different ways to reach out, but we're always looking for more. Right now, we have Alert Bowie. Alert Bowie is an a la carte menu. You'll be able to go to Alert Bowie. You'll be able to click on whatever facets of city life that you want to know about, whether it's water main breaks, traffic, city events, whatever those events are. You'll be able to choose what you want to be notified of and how you want to be notified. So that's very, very important. We get put a lot of information out that way, not just from the police side, but from the city side. Una Cooper and her team. We are also, of course, on Facebook, and we're on Twitter. I also try to do a monthly chief chat where we talk about, mostly I talk about what's going on at the moment, what kind of crime trends we may be seeing, what events are coming up, things that we need the residents to be aware of, and information that we think is pertinent, and just to kind of touch base with letting you know where we are at that moment and what's happening with us. So Deputy Chief mentioned we're short. That's no secret. It's also something that people are dealing with on a national scale, given some of the conversations surrounding law enforcement at the moment. So we're trying to actively recruit. So we're giving signing bonuses up to $9,000. The minimum signing bonus is $3,000 that you walk in through the door. If you have college, prior police or some other factors, it can range up to $9,000. The city's an awesome place to work. We have very, very good compensation for holidays. You get triple time on holidays, pretty much unheard of around here. We also have a defined pension of 25 years. Defined pensions are also very, very hard to find nowadays. So when we started looking at how do we recruit, because we want to go with our strengths, right? So we can't advertise that you guys, our folks are going to be jumping out of helicopters and doing all this other hot stuff, because we're not. That's not what we're made for. That's not how we're built, and that's not what we need. Our strength is our community. So in that vein, who knows better the qualities that you want to see on the streets, the qualities you want to see in your officers than you do? So we're putting the onus on you as well. You help us find these folks. You know who you want to see police in your community. Help us find them, bring them to us. That person may be laying on your couch right now watching TV. So not only do you get your couch free, that person gets a great career. And if they're hired and make it through the academy, you as a referral get $500. So I think that's a win-win all the way around. So help us fill our ranks with good, strong communicators, people of integrity, and people who will treat people fairly and care for their community. So please look on the website, send us your best. So if you're not interested in being an officer, we are also looking for dispatchers. Now the job description may be a little, hasn't been updated quite yet. So we are training new dispatchers. We're not requiring as much experience, and we're going to be adjusting that. But we will train you. Dispatchers are a very, very important piece of our department. They are a lifeline to not only the residents, but to our officers in the street. So it's a great career. Again, all the same benefits that the officers get. So please think about coming and being a dispatcher with us. You can also visit our website for more details. Again, cityofbowie.org. That's a great source for information. We're always putting new stuff up along with our social media tags. So please check us out on the website. And before I go, I just want to say, if we are missing a communication platform that you are on, let us know. Use that impact email address. Let us know. We get a little older. The minute we get onto a platform, it usually means that the younger demographics jumping off. So there's always a new platform. We can't hit them all, but if we can find ones that there are groups of people that we're not contacting, we're not connecting with, please let us know so we can investigate that and try to let us know the best way to get a hold of you and to reach you, because that's what this is all about. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. And as I mentioned earlier about the fact that we're seeking volunteers, now we'll share how you can get involved. If that's you and you want to be the conduit for your HOA or your neighborhood to be the point of contact with the police department, just submit your information. Send us an email to impact@cityofbowie.org. That's impact@cityofbowie.org. We want to get involved and want to communicate with you. This being the last town hall meeting, when we get into the early parts of 2022, what we'll be doing is we'll be sending out some information and communicating with those throughout the city that have volunteered to serve as the point of contact for their particular communities in terms of what the next steps will be. We promise that we're not going to bombard you with information, but we're going to share information that's pertinent and helpful. As we see crime trends specifically, if we see something, a spike in a particular neighborhood, it's very important that we provide good quality information and up-to-date information to that particular community. Everything that happens in the city is not for all residents at all times. So sometimes it's going to be directed specifically to your neighborhood. So you have the most up-to-date information, and we want that to be shared. We monitor some of the social media sites, and unfortunately, some of the information that's shared and reshared is inaccurate. So, one of the things is that we want to be there for you to be the point of contact. If there's a question about something, one thing is that we take great pride in being very transparent. So if there's a question about something, a crime, and you're seeking information, please give us a call and we'll provide the information so that you have the most up-to-date information. So again, I hope that you will take some time and volunteer and work with us by submitting that information to impact@cityofbowie.org. Okay, that concludes the police department's presentation. We're now going to transition to our Public Works Director, Mr. Jose Aldeuse, who's going to talk to you about how to conduct speed awareness or speed requests for speeding.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna share my screen now. And there it goes. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Jose Aldeuse. I am the Director of the Public Works Department for the City of Bowie. Tonight, I get the pleasure to give you a short presentation with regards to the City of Bowie traffic calming policy. And I need to be doing that screen. And the outline pretty much short. We have about 4 slides, maybe 5. And the first one we're going to talk about what is it? What is the traffic calming policy? What are its objectives? What's the process? And how do we evaluate the results? It's pretty much a combination of mainly physical measures that reduce the negative effects of motor vehicle use. It alters driver behavior, especially bad behavior, and improve conditions for non-motorized street users, otherwise known as pedestrians. Traffic calming strategies consist of a variety of techniques to alter routes, as I said before, driving habits, operational characteristics, and even modes of travel within residential areas. The objectives pretty much we can sum as 5. And the first one is that I have noted here is promote conditions that provide safe neighborhoods. Very important, the safety of it for motorists, bicyclists, pedestrians, and residents while maintaining access and service. We don't want to interrupt those. Second objective is to improve neighborhood livability by encouraging adherence to the speed limit. And that's basically the main problem when we get these complaints is that people are really not obeying the speed limit, and a big percentage of the traffic volume is speeding through a particular street. Third objective is to foster a collaborative working relationship between neighborhood residents and city staff in the development of traffic calming measures. So we want to partner with you in terms of assisting you reduce speeds in your streets and pretty much promote good driving habits among motorists. The fourth objective is to integrate education, enforcement, and engineering. These 3 items are known as the 3 E's of traffic calming. The fifth objective is to efficiently use public resources based on need. So because the city doesn't have the resources, it's not possible pretty much to provide calming measures to every street in the city. And the last one is to periodically evaluate the policy to ensure the goals are being met. In terms of the process is outlined in a document that the city of Bowie adopted in November of 2008. But the document was developed and established by Prince George County in January of 2008. And so in terms of consistency, it makes sense at the time to adopt the same policy countywide. And the process is pretty much a three-step process. The first one, very important, is that all requests should come from the homeowners association or the HOA. In the case that a particular street in a neighborhood that does not have an HOA, the request needs to come to the local council representative. And at this time, I think since I started in September, the number of requests from HOAs is pretty much comparable to what I get from council members. The second step, my department will conduct a traffic engineering study to determine the severity of traffic problems on the street. This second step is quite simple, and it pretty much translates to the installation of a device that will measure the traffic volume, the speeds, and everything else that needed. And in the step of evaluation is pretty much as it's shown in the table. It has a pointing system for 8 items. The first item is traffic volume, and depending upon the count or average daily traffic, the particular street can get up to 30 points. The speed, if a certain percentile of the traffic observed exceed the speed limit posted, the street can get up to 35 points. The third one is not collected with the device, but we have records of traffic accidents in the streets in the city of Bowie. And based on the number of accidents, the street can be allocated, can gain about 30 points. The fourth one relates to the existence of an elementary school or playground on the street. And the street can gain 10 points. The fifth item is if it is a major pedestrian generator, so a lot of people use that for walks and runs and stuff like that, and you can get up to 5 points, or the street can get up to 5 points. The sixth point is the absence of sidewalk or sidewalks on the street, and if you don't have any or you have only one, you can get up to 10 points. The seventh item is limited sight distance. Some streets are either in a horizontal curve or a vertical curve, and both of those need they need to allow for sight distance. In other words, that motorists going at the speed limit, they have to have enough distance on their side to brake and avoid running over pedestrians. And then the street can get up to 5 points. And the eighth one, if it is used to cut through traffic, that particular street is between 2 major routes, and a lot of because motorists don't want to wait in the queue, so they use the street to cut through traffic, then the street can gain up to 10 points. Then in terms of evaluating the result is pretty trivial. You pretty much sum all the points based on the 8 items that I previously discussed. And if the street has a point scores of at least 50 points, then it qualifies for level 1 traffic calming measures. And there could be a special awareness program, a special pavement markings, the installment of signs, including the speed limit signs. If the street gets at least 60 points, then it qualifies for level 2 traffic calming measures. And that entails either to make it one-way street, prohibit turns, the installation of speed humps, traffic circles, roundabouts, semi-diverters, or chokers. The last one is the one that qualifies for level 3 measures, and the street has to have at least 80 points. And the traffic calming measures are diagonal diverters and or full closures, or is that means close the street to traffic. I think that's about it. If any questions, please put it on the board as Assistant Chief mentioned. And the last slide has my contact information. It's also on the website. And by all means, please feel free to contact me. The community has a friend of me, and pretty much my contact information is available for you at any time. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Aldeuse. So that concludes both presentations that we have for you this evening. So we're now going to transition and answer some of the questions, but so far we've only received one question. So we really want to have an opportunity to address any questions and concerns that you have this evening. So, please put those into the chat. So the question that we've received this evening is our concern is the four-wheelers and dirt bikes in rolling hills and the neighboring roadways doing tricks, speeding and intimidating drivers while they perform. Please help. It's no surprise that you all in District 1 will be asking us that question. We are well aware of the concerns that four-wheelers and dirt bikes and things of that sort pose to us. I am going to ask Lieutenant Rose to address that because they deal with them on an ongoing basis in terms of the efforts that have been taken and the challenges that we face as it relates to enforcement there. Lieutenant Rose?
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so we know these guys have been an issue for quite some time, and they're actually not this particular group of guys that are doing it, but it is an issue region-wide. It has become a trend. I'm sure you guys may have even seen it reported on the news, where they take over intersections and they storm streets and things of that sort. They've run amok down at the National Harbor on several occasions, or they'll take over 495 and shut down 495 so they can do their tricks and display their activities, supposing to put it on social media and get recognition. And again, this is one of those issues we're not immune from it. The thing with the problem that we face with these guys are, for the most part, they know we're not going to chase them. Even though they try to entice us to do it, because they know they're going to get away. They're those little ATVs and motorcycles. They have the ability to pretty much leave us in the dust. So it's just too dangerous for us to do anything like that. So as far as that type of response, we're just not going to do it. However, I will say, if they are in your area and you do witness them and you do see them, call us anyway. Regardless, we will respond. We will show up. They may taunt us a little bit, trying to entice us to chase them. However, we'll stay there long enough until they get bored and they decide to leave. That's from that perspective. That's about the best we can do. What we ask from you all is, a lot of these folks live in the areas. A lot of them live in the neighborhoods. If you know who they are, or if you could point us in a direction to where we may be able to track down where they're living or where they're residing or where they may be congregating, where we can come up and have a good discussion with them, or maybe possibly see them riding to the location. That way we can bear witness to them committing an offense, and then hopefully making an apprehension when they're getting off the vehicle. That would be really helpful, and that would put us in a good way. Some of the things that we've also been trying to do is utilize some of the technology in our cars to try and help. However, with the COVID thing and everything with the masks, we haven't been very successful. We try to utilize the in-car videos, and we can capture still videos of them. However, it's a little hard to identify them if we can't have a face to put out on a flyer or anything of that sort to try and get information. But whatever information that you can provide for us, we'll take and we'll run with it as best we can. And Again, don't hesitate to call us regardless. If you see them, just call us, we'll respond.
If I could add just to that, we really do feel your frustration because we're frustrated as well. And we've had some limited success with some of the things that Lieutenant Rose has talked about. We did recover a couple bikes. We've had with specific targets, we have been able to just wait for them to get off the bike or target them at the house. But a lot of that depends on intelligence brought by you. But I will say that, again, sometimes they'll circle us, give us the one finger salute and taunt us. And that's hard on the officers as well. So it's a difficult problem with no easy solutions that's being felt across the region. So it's up to us to keep working together, keep feeding us the information if you see the bikes in the house and things of that nature, and we can follow up that way. I see someone just seeing that they have several threads on the Nextdoor app where they say they know where they live. That kind of brings to the next point. We try to monitor Nextdoor as much as we can, but the way Nextdoor is set up, it's kind of limited on the neighborhoods we can see because they're neighborhood specific. So even though we register as an agency, we can't always see individual threads. So that's why it's so important that you feed that information through the impact email address so that we can get it into the right hands so we can do some investigation and try to get these guys. We'll never get them all, but at least we can get a few and inconvenience a few.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant Rose. Thank you, Chief Nesky. The next two questions I'm actually going to combine. I'll read them both and then answer. The late night speeders on Route 197 are loud and crazy at night after 11 p.m. Also, please, what can be done with speeders near elementary schools? And the other question is, who enforces speeding and what appears to be racing on 197 north of 450? So part of the reason that we have Public Works here with us is that we realize that speeding is one of the most common complaints that we get throughout the city. And, while we have speed awareness program in terms of speed cameras in the school zones, they are effective in slowing people down in that particular stretch of the roadway. But people speed up to that point, and then once they get through that zone, we know that people continue to speed after they're through that zone. We do periodic enforcement. We do have one traffic officer that's dedicated to speed enforcement, as well as our patrol officers that conduct speed enforcement in between calls for service. The only thing I can tell you is that, again, the impact the city of Bowie.org email address is extremely important. As much information as you can share in terms of times a day, days a week, it allows us to be more strategic in the deployment of our resources when the violations are occurring. And that way we can have dedicated assignments that we put out there for officers to do periodic enforcement. But this is something that we deal with throughout the city, as well as neighboring jurisdictions. Speeding is a major concern. We have partnered with Maryland State Police and Prince George's County Police Department for some upcoming enforcement activities that we will be doing jointly. And we engage them on a regular basis. They keep us informed of some of the things that they're seeing and the actions they're taking, and we do the same. But this is something that's ongoing, and we just ask that you report it to us, and we'll do our very best to do the periodic enforcement. The next question is, if our HOA has a safety officer, does the Bowie Police Department update him or her to inform the community? If you do have a safety officer, I'm not sure if you mean by that a security officer that patrols your neighborhood. If that's the case, we do not. What I would ask in that particular question, I think that's very specific. So I would ask that you would send us an email with the specifics of this information in terms of what community that you're discussing, and then we can get you a more direct answer as it relates to your particular neighborhood on that. I don't have any other questions, so we'll give everyone. Here's one just popped in. Okay, is it legal for someone to go through your trash once it has been placed at the curb for pickup? So the answer to that is yes. Once you place it at the curb and is no longer on your property, it is public property at that point. No one can come up onto your curtilage or onto your property to go through your trash can. But once you set it out at night to be picked up, it is considered to be fair game. Okay. Ms. Ross, we appreciate the compliment. She says you're doing a great job. Keep it up. We're praying for you constantly. With the cameras, is reimbursement only for front of the houses? Chief Nesky?
That is correct. Must be facing the front of the house. I'm sorry if I wasn't specific enough, but it does have to be facing outward to the front.
Thank you, Chief. And while we appreciate the compliment I do want to make mention that, the Baltimore Police Department is dealing with a real tragedy. As one of the officers was ambushed early this morning. So, we just ask that you keep the officer and the Baltimore Police Department in your thoughts and prayers. Okay. And while we have a pause as we wait for any additional questions that may come in, I just want to express, and I'm sure Chief Nesky will do the same. We really appreciate the residents within the city of Bowie. I've been in law enforcement now 31 years, almost 32 years. And one of the things is that this is by far a community that has shown consistently its support for our police department. We appreciate you all support. And we mention this to our officers on a daily basis about the importance of the service and the responsibility we have to provide the best possible service to you all as residents. We really, and that's why it's important, even in our recruitment efforts, to maintain that standard of the officers that we have, because our officers have worked too hard to develop the type of police department that we've had to allow anyone to destroy or taint our reputation. So, we, again, just on, from my heart, I just say thank you for your support. And again, I just ask that you continue to work with us, to share information, be patient with us. We're not perfect, so that we, sometimes we will make a mistake, or, we may do something that may not be to your liking, but, just express it to us and we'll do everything we can to make sure that it meets our standards and our policies and the expectations that you all have of us as your police department. So turn it over to Chief Nesky.
Well, he just said everything I was going to say, so I guess I'm done. But I will say, I've been here since the beginning. I was the second person hired in 2006, and from the very beginning, this has been a partnership. Everything we've done with the department has been based upon community needs and community feedback. That's the only way we get better, and the only way we can stay in tune with you. I was sitting on a panel the other day, and the question was, what role does the community play in setting goals and strategic planning? And the obvious answer is really the only role. Everything we do should be geared towards what you need, not what we think we need, but what the community needs. And you guys have been great as far as giving us feedback, giving us information, and helping us move this department forward to where we are now. So, we can't do it without you, and that's why we're here, and that's why we want you to keep reaching out to us. So again, as I always say, your time is the most valuable thing you have. So we greatly appreciate you spending it on us.
Thank you, Chief. And I did want to mention that the City Council has established a public safety committee. That's made up of volunteers that are residents within the city. We meet on the fourth Wednesday of every month, and they discuss various issues surrounding public safety. So there's police, fire, emergency management, traffic concerns. And these many of the members, have some background either in firefighting, law enforcement, highway safety. Some are attorneys and things of that sort, but they volunteer their time and they're there to ensure that things are done to the best that they can as it relates to public safety. Those meetings are open to the public. We continue to hold those virtually. We're not meeting this month because of the holidays, but those meetings will resume on the fourth Wednesday in January. from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. So look on the city's website, on the calendar, the link will be there if those meetings are open to the public. So, feel free to log on. That'll keep you in tune to some of the things that the committee is doing, some of the updates that are provided, not only from the police department, but also from the fire department and from time to time from our emergency manager. I think we had one more question came in. Okay. Says, is there any update regarding the carjacking incidents in both North Ridge and off High Bridge Road, or is this an ongoing investigation? Lieutenant Rose, is there any information you can share on that you're aware of in terms of updates? I don't.
Nothing that I'm at liberty to talk about right now.
Okay. All right. I didn't think so. Only thing I would say in general is that we mentioned that we don't have a lot of violent crime in the city. And when we do, we're fortunate that they're usually, the people involved generally have some contact or prior contact before those incidents do occur. Without going into any more detail than that, I'm not saying that it's outside the realm of possibility that we can have a random innocent victim carjacked, but that is a possibility, but that's not something that is has not been the case thus far. So if it were the case, that's part of what we talked about in terms of information sharing. That is one of the things that we want to do our very best to share that information and get it out as quickly as possible. That's why it's important. And I encourage everyone to sign up for Alert Bowie. That is a system that we will utilize when there is information that we need to share with the community as of interest, as well as following us on our social media sites as we post updates and wanted flyers and all things pertaining to the police department. That is our method to communicate. And so, one of the things that if you want to volunteer and be the point of contact for the community to exchange information with us, someone mentioned Nextdoor, the app Nextdoor. This would be a great opportunity that as we push information to you, maybe you can then take that information and share that within the Nextdoor neighborhood, so that our information is getting out, information that is shared on that platform, you being a conduit to share it back with us, so that if there's anything that we need to know, we're getting that information. So we appreciate that. And one of the Public Safety Committee members, Ms. Monica Best James, she is on tonight, and she serves on that committee and served for several years. So I just want to publicly acknowledge her service and thank her for attending tonight. So no more questions do I see, but I want to give Councilman Estev an opportunity if you want to share any closing remarks. Councilman Estev.
Thanks, Deputy Chief. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for joining tonight. We've had some pretty good attendance at the 4 of these meetings that the police department's held, which is great. I've worked very positively with Chief Neske, Deputy Chief Preston, and their team over the last 6 years. When they say that they are open to candid feedback, they are. When they say that they set their policies and goals and priorities based on what residents communicate to them, they do. So, just to reiterate what has already been said, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. One note in particular, I see all the time on Facebook, on Nextdoor, comment sections that are full of speculation about individual crimes at time. It's absolutely fine to comment to your heart's content on what you see going on in the community or what you're hearing. But if those aren't translating into calls to the police department, they're not going to achieve much. The department does what it can to monitor calls, or excuse me, to monitor some of the social media feeds, but they can't see everything. So if one of the folks on the call is able to put the police non-emergency number either on a screen or in a chat somewhere, call that number. And don't be afraid to keep calling it, because having a paper trail, knowing that there's an issue, that's the only way that stuff's going to get solved. So beyond that, I just want to say thank you all for participating. If anybody has any questions or feedback relating to the police department, you can obviously reach out to these gentlemen. You can reach out to myself as well. I'm pretty responsive. I communicate with them regularly when I get feedback. And so we're all ears on the communication front.
Thank you, Councilman. Chief, do you have any closing comments?
Yeah, I could just chime in on one thing that the councilman was saying about next door. If you ever have a question, oh, the officer never showed up, or we called this and the officer never showed. Well, I know in a couple instances that we saw, we did. It's just that the complainant had already left, and we checked the area, and so that's what I'm talking about. If you see those kind of things in conversations on social media that we may not be seeing, if you have a question, please ask. We'll be happy to answer it. Sometimes we can say, hey, we were there in 2 minutes. Sometimes we say, yeah, we had calls on the other side of the city that took almost every officer to handle. So we got there 20 minutes later and it was all over. So whatever the answer is, we're going to give it to you, but we can't answer the question if we never get it. So please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Chief. And one of the things I've said in the previous town hall meetings, and Councilman Estef touched on it about calling us. Sometimes we hear residents say, oh, I didn't want to bother you. I didn't think it was that important. Listen, we're here for your service. So if you think it's important, and I don't care how minor you think it is, it may tie into something larger, please call us. You cannot call us too much. It is our job to respond to your call. So call us, please, report your information, allow us to determine whether or not if you think it's something minor, allow us to get there to determine that, because it may be something that turns out to be significant. So please call us. You never a bother to us. Send us an email, ask us questions, whatever you need. We're your police department and we're here for you. And so we want you to call us. Okay. Lieutenant Rose, did you have any closing comments you want to share?
Just thank you for having me, and everybody have a happy holiday.
Thank you, Lieutenant. And Mr. Aldeuse, you have any closing comments for everyone?
Oh, just express my gratitude to all the attendees and Councilman Esteve. Very nice talking to you, and thank you, Deputy Chief, for inviting me to be part of this town hall meetings.
Absolutely. And finally, I just want to acknowledge our crime analyst and our social media expert, Miss Bethany DeWright. She does a phenomenal job of posting information and just keeping our website updated and things of that sort. I also want to acknowledge our IT department, the director, Todd Peterson, Anthony Hogue is our IT support. They've been phenomenal and allowed us to host these town hall meetings without any issues. So we really appreciate that. And we appreciate the entire city staff as we collaboratively will work together to serve you all as a resident. So I do too wish you all happy holidays. Stay safe. Happy New Year. And we look forward to continue to work with you. Have a great night.
Night.